Hi everyone, I am Dr. Emilie Solomons. I work at AccuBalance Wellness Center in Vancouver, Canada, and I've been practicing for 14 years. I also became a doula 15 years ago. Today's video is on early pregnancy, what you can do to support your pregnancy from home. Finding out you're pregnant is wonderful and sometimes a very nerve-wracking experience. Finding out you're pregnant during a pandemic and in home isolation can be downright overwhelming. So I thought I would create a quick-ish video for anyone stuck at home in early pregnancy. Along with this video, I have two blogs that you can read. The first one is on supplements I suggest because it can be really overwhelming to figure out what you should be taking or you shouldn't be taking. And so I've just put it on our website. It's called Supplements 101, and you can have a look, and then that way you don't have to be writing any notes while watching this video. The second blog I'm going to be putting up is on foods to avoid, because frankly, if you Google what you can't eat in pregnancy, you can't breathe air without somehow harming your baby, and it can send you down this horrible anxiety-inducing rabbit hole. So rather than do that, I have looked at what actually has data around what you should and shouldn't be eating and put it into a blog so that it's simple and you can understand why you should be avoiding certain foods and why some are safe. So you're pregnant. Awesome. What can you expect? The first symptom that most people feel is fatigue, and not like a little bit of fatigue, like shot with a sedation dart, and the simplest things make you exhausted kind of fatigue. So this is actually completely normal, and you should listen to your body if it says you need to go to bed at 7:30 p.m. or you need to take a nap at like 10 a.m. and you've only been up for 2 hours. Really just listen to your body. You're creating a baby from scratch, and that takes a lot of energy. Around 6 weeks is when most people start experiencing nausea. It tends to start around 6 weeks, not everybody exact, but around 6 weeks, then peaks between 8 and 10 weeks, kind of a plateau there, and then sometime between 10 and 12 weeks, it starts to go down. Now, for an unlucky few, it does take longer, and for some people, they have it through their whole pregnancy. But most people, it kind of does that 6 week start, kind of up 8 to 10, awful, 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 10 to 12, starts to go down again. Now, if you are vomiting continuously or you cannot eat anything or keep anything down, you might have something called hyperemesis gravidarum, and you should check in with your doctor or midwife because this can be life-threatening and cause dehydration and other complications. So if you cannot keep anything down, this is the time to be checking in with your doctor and seeing if there's anything you can do to support it. Now, if you just have mild nausea and feel like you're hungover 24/7, there are some things that you can do. So the first tips that I give are eating every 2 hours. Now, a lot of times we go through easily 4-6 hours when we're stuck in traffic or when we're at work. For most of us being stuck at home right now, it's actually a lot easier because we're probably just constantly eating anyway. But the key in pregnancy is that our blood sugar is a lot less stable. So you want to be eating every 2 hours before your blood sugar drops. A lot of times the feelings you get when your blood sugar drops is, I need to eat this instant, or the reverse of like, oh my gosh, if I even look at food, I can't. That's disgusting. I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat. But it's actually the food. It's counterintuitive. It's actually the food that will help stabilize your blood sugar and make the symptoms of nausea less. So you want to catch it before you have the drop and you hit that awful wall, so that you don't have that and you can actually have, little blood sugar variations rather than big drops and highs. Another thing you can do to help stabilize your blood sugar so you don't have that drop, which tends to trigger the nausea, is to have a fat or a protein with each of your little mini meals. So you're not actually eating more food, for the record, really. You're having smaller meals more frequently. but each of them should include that fat or protein. And what the fat or protein does is a carb alone spikes our blood sugar and then runs out quickly and drops. A fat or a protein actually does more of a slower rise and a slower fall. And so you're not going to have the variation. So I would suggest always adding, like if you're going to have a piece of toast, putting some almond butter on it. If you're going to have some fruits and veggies, having it with some hummus. Play around, but you really want to be always trying to add in a fat or protein. And this isn't just in the early pregnancy. You want to have that throughout, because later in pregnancy, having that fat or protein and balancing blood sugar will reduce the chances of getting something called gestational diabetes. So keep going, play around, figure out, one day you're going to like one food, and then the next day if you look at it, it's going to make you vomit, and that's okay. Just don't buy too much in bulk. All right, so next thing I'm going to suggest is, so I was going to talk about a little bit about like my favorite proteins. For those of you who do eat animal products, eggs are actually my favorite protein in pregnancy. And the reason is it is a complete protein, and this is including the yolk, because the yolk has something called choline, which is really key in pregnancy. It's also has cholesterol. And at first we used to think that the cholesterol in eggs raised our blood cholesterol and that was bad. We realize now that that is actually incorrect, and the cholesterol in the egg is great for you. A lot of the hormones need cholesterol for hormone synthesis. So you don't have to worry about having eggs every day. It is safe, it is fine, and it's a great protein. The other thing you can do is wild salmon is great because it already has some of the omegas that we're suggested to take during pregnancy as a supplement. So wild salmon's great. And then just playing around. You don't need a lot. Don't have to be a carnivore. It's just about having little bits on whatever you can actually take in. Because you might say, you just said the word fish and I feel like vomiting. So it really is about whichever one you can get down. Foods that help nausea really vary from person to person. So for some people, ginger is really helpful, whereas for others, it's actually mint. A lot of my patients find fresh sour fruits like berries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries help, and the fluid, the kind of juiciness also kind of help with the nausea. Other people, it's straight bland carbs. They are just breakfast, lunch, and dinner carbs. So really you're just going to play around and see which works for you. Usually at 8 weeks, I call that the bagel and cream cheese week, because most people, that's the peak, and most people end up finding like one food and they just eat it for the week. So I want you to not feel guilty if you feel like you're not eating as good as you would hope to eat in your pregnancy. In the first trimester specifically, I'm less concerned with someone having a perfectly well-balanced meal. Rather, I just want them to be eating as well as they can eat, as well as their body will let them eat. Let's put it this way. So you eat as good as you possibly can. If you can eat proteins and vegetables, you eat them. But if you can just have cereal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner because everything else makes you vomit, then no guilt. You are putting your blinders on and you're just getting through this trimester. So try as best you can, but if the best you can is a bagel and cream cheese, then that's okay too. We will get back on a healthy, well-balanced diet in your second and third trimester. For now, your baby is the perfect parasite and is taking all that it needs from your body. So just get through. Now, if you need some extra tips for the nausea and the food alone, eating small meals is not doing it, there is an acupressure point that can be helpful for a lot of people in nausea, in their first pregnancy with nausea. What I found, even for myself and for a lot of my patients, it doesn't necessarily make the nausea go away completely, but it definitely takes the edge off. People use this also for motion sickness or seasickness. So it's a point you may have actually heard of before. It's called pericardium 6, and it is found, so you find the crease on your wrist, and you're going to use 3 fingers from the crease, and the point is going to be right below that. So you take 3 fingers, and the point is right below the 3 fingers, in between the 2 tendons. And so what you're going to do is you're actually going to kind of wheel in there, find a kind of a tender spot, and you're going to hold down. Now, when you're feeling really, really nauseous, it's amazing how hard you can press, but it'll actually help kind of focus and get you over that wave of nausea. And you'll probably end up with, as you can see, a little bit of a nail mark, and that's okay. For those of you that have access to or can order online C-bands, they're a little band that has a bead on it sewn in, and you can actually put it onto that point. The key that I find where people find it's not helpful is because they put it in the wrong place. If you put it up too high or too low, it's not stimulating the point and probably won't have any benefit. So remember, you're using 3 of your fingers, and the point is right below it, like right tucked in. So yeah, you can press that as many times as you need whenever you have a wave, but remember, you're going to be, the first line of defense is eating as soon as you wake up, and then eating regularly, having the fat or protein, and then if you need, you can add in that acupressure point. Now with supplements, as I mentioned, I have a blog on what supplements I like for pregnancy, so you're welcome to have a look at that. I will say though, if you are very, very nauseous, it might actually be helpful to stop your supplements and just take a folic acid. So folic acid and folate are actually the same thing, but different names. When it says folate, it comes from a natural source. So you want to look in the side of the bottle and make sure it has folate in brackets, or methylated folate, which is a great option. But folate doesn't tend to cause nausea, whereas like iron and a lot of the other things in a prenatal can sometimes make nausea worse. So if you're noticing it's really bad, just put those aside for now and just stick with the key supplement in first trimester, which is your folate, your folic acid. So what's another symptom that we tend to have in pregnancy? And that is constipation. Fun times. So we experience constipation for a few reasons. Our blood volume doubles in the first trimester, and our body needs to retain more fluid in order for that to happen. So it slows the digestive tract so that more water is able to get absorbed in the large intestine. It also slows the digestive tract so more nutrients can be absorbed. Which are both wonderful things, but side effect, slow digestive tract means less bowel movements, which means drier, compact stools. So make sure, because our blood volume is doubling and we need more fluids, that you are drinking more fluids. Another aggravating factor can be the iron, again, in our prenatal vitamin or any iron that we're supplementing with. So if you have to, I suggest first trying to drink more water and eating things like dried apricots so that you can help with having the bowel movements. But if all of that fails, you may need to stop or stagger your iron supplementation every other day in order to kind of get the bowel movements going. But just know that they're going to be slower than normal, and that's okay. So finally, let's talk about exercise, rest, and that interesting combination. In the first trimester, rest is key. Like I said, it feels like you've been shot with a sedation dart, and you'll just want to rest. And we're at home, so that's great. Take advantage of this. Take daily naps. Go to bed early. The whole baby is created in 10 weeks. Like all the little fingers and toes and organs are all created in the first 10 weeks. So listen to your body when it says it needs rest, because it's actually doing a lot of work. This is not the time to be super outwardly productive. You are creating life from scratch, which frankly is very productive. With that said, I do suggest, if you can't get out of the house safely each day, or if you can't do that, at least go out on your balcony. Fresh air can actually reduce your experience of nausea, and getting some sun is really important for our vitamin D levels, which are taking an epic plunge as we stay indoors. I have suggested in this supplement blog that I mentioned, 2,000 IUs of vitamin D is a great place to start, but you may need different amounts depending on pre-existing conditions or skin tone. If getting out of your home for an hour a day is not possible, then I think I mentioned this in another video, is put on some music, your favorite upbeat dance music, and dance around your living room every day for about 20 minutes. The endorphins that are released with the exercise are key to helping combat anxiety and depression. But if you are doing that, still at least get some fresh air, because that will help manage the nausea. So remember, be kind to yourself. It doesn't need to be a perfect pregnancy. You don't have to be perfect. Our bodies will take everything they need for the baby. Like I said, our babies are perfect parasites. They will take care of themselves. So you need to take care of yourself. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or your baby's health, or if you're prone to miscarriages and just need like a little bit more support, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here every day on my couch, so feel free to check in. I am happy to answer your questions or do a consultation if you need. Have a great day, everyone, and congratulations on your pregnancy.